Hey, Dragon Slayers. Today I was 240 and my blood sugar is 98, and that's about an hour after eating. Continuing the My Mistakes series, today one of my biggest mistakes was after I was first diagnosed with diabetes. I was in denial, and then I waited 4 more months. It got substantially worse, and then when I finally accepted that something was wrong, I didn't check my blood sugar constantly. And in order to effectively slay the diabetes dragon, you are going to need a continuous glucose monitor. It doesn't have to be this one. I've used the Freestyle Libre 1, and I haven't used any other monitors, so I can't speak to how well or not well any others work. Love Freestyle Libre 1. And I'm very excited about the 3 because it's super small. The sensor is substantially smaller than the one that I have now. It connects via Bluetooth, and it takes your blood glucose every minute without the need for a reader. It doesn't even support a reader. It just connects directly to your smartphone, and I'm hoping that it comes out in the US or is available in the US before the end of the year 2022. Traditionally, the traditional advice is to check your blood sugar like before meals, in the morning, and in the evening. So, usually around 3 to 5 times a day. The problem with this is that it's not nearly enough to detect patterns. So, if you want to know what your blood sugar is doing at all times, you have to check it constantly. And um, it helps you adjust your meals, your content of your meals, as well as your meal frequency and how many carbs you can get away with without suffering any ill effects on occasion. So for me, I can eat 4 pieces of Valrhona dark chocolate. They're 70%. Each piece is probably, yeah, that's about right, about that big. And it's got 4 grams of carbs. It's got like 4 grams of sugar, and it has zero effect on my blood sugar. My blood sugar does not move. Um, I can eat a half cup of fresh pasta. It's about 22 grams of carbs. It has a very minimal effect on my blood sugar. If my pre-meal glucose was around the 90s, it will like low 90s. The pasta will take it to about 115, 118 tops, and then it quickly comes back down to around 100 or sub 100 within 30 minutes. So I wouldn't do something like that every day, but it's a nice treat to have once a month or once every couple of months. So I would say forget about the diabetes recommendations. Those numbers that the American Diabetes Association, their goals, I'm going to read this to you. It says the American Diabetes Association goals for blood sugar control in people with diabetes are 70 to 130 milligrams per deciliter before meals and less than 180 milligrams per deciliter after meals. I think that range is way too high. Now, a blood sugar of less than 180 is going to be okay if you're just starting out. But after 4 to 6 months of strict keto and intermittent fasting, it should never go above 140 after meals. If you truly want to reverse your insulin resistance and slay the diabetes dragon for good, you need to be much more aggressive with your glucose control. When you're insulin sensitive and eating as close to zero carbs as possible, your glucose is going to be super stable. I don't usually have greater than a 40-point variance between my glucose ever, my lowest number and my highest number for the day, and that's including after meals. So I'm eating a mostly carnivorous diet, and it never goes above 120 after eating. And I'm also in a constant state of ketosis, even though most of my calories are coming from protein. The things that you want to look for is what is your fasted glucose. So that number should be below 100 all the time. Mine is generally about 90 most of the day. And when I wake up in the morning, it can reach a max of 115 to 130 due to the dawn effect. But typically it's below 120. By 2 p.m., it's 110 or lower. And by 4 or 5 p.m., before I eat, it's in the low 90s. The number two thing is you want to look at how far your glucose climbs after meals. So I would check with your continuous glucose monitor, whatever kind you decide to use. After you start eating, you want to check your blood sugar every 5 to 10 minutes after you start eating for the next 3 or 4 hours. That's going to show you where your glucose peaks. Ideally, it shouldn't ever rise above 140. And you want it to go back down to under 100 or around 100 within 2 hours of eating. So check your glucose constantly and discover your patterns. That's what I've got for you today. And remember that together, you and I will slay the dreaded diabetes dragon.